Hello, everyone, and welcome back to Wicked Art. It's Wicked here, and it is time for our little Monday art lesson here. So, I figure we kind of talk about how to add stylization to your characters, right? So, basically, what that is like taking your character and really pushing the boundaries of anatomy, right? So, first thing you want to do is obviously go back and check out my anatomy videos or anybody's anatomy videos that you've seen in art related on how to do that. Once you have an understanding of that, then you can start pushing things. Now, the thing that I do, and this is just me and my preference, is I like to stay really loose first. Okay, so I will start to build things out. So we're going to start with kind of a head here, and as I build things out, I kind of stretch things. So, like, see how I've elongated the dome here, right? Then we start thinking about things like how the body is set up and the neck. So, like the neck, I'm going to stretch out, right? And then I start adding in things like muscle, like that would be the trapezius muscles, and also, body contortion, right? So maybe accentuating things like the shoulder muscles a little bit more. Let me kind of take that out and connect that in there. But see how it's kind of like angling and stretching, almost like I'm going for um, an emaciated look or somebody who's really skinny. We could probably round that out a little bit more. But again, I just like to stay nice and loose. And then once you kind of get something built up, you can kind of decide from there on where exactly you want your piece to go, where you want your character. Because to me, it's all about the look, right? So if I'm just sitting here sketching, and we're going to bring that chest out just a little bit more. But if I'm just sitting here sketching and I see this kind of shape that I'm making, maybe this is going to eventually be a creature of some kind, or maybe just a very strange version of, Spider-Man, because he's real lanky. Sorry, I'm going to kind of extend the chest out just a little bit. But I tend to stretch and elongate and really, like I said, build out those things that I'm looking to try to keep consistent too. Because that's the other thing is consistency. You want to make sure that you're, building things in a way that's going to be the same across the story that you're telling with your character. Put a little navel in here. Things like, for me, like on super skinny characters, uh, you can see like what I'm doing here is kind of exaggerating the forearm. So I make it hyper thick and bulky in that area and stretch that down. Again, just a personal preference. But again, to keep that emaciated look, kind of skinny up the body. Um, kind of stretching those areas out to maybe accentuate like the stomach a little bit more and bringing that down. I can start seeing things that I need to fix so that it's not maybe overly bulky and kind of eventually just evens itself out, right? So same thing, here, once I get that chest in there, I can really elongate the bicep and thin that out. But then again, once I get into the forearm area, I'm really going to exaggerate that and stretch that out. So things like where the hip joints connect on the legs, I can, exaggerate the thighs. Again, just kind of bringing that out. Because nobody's going to look like this. Nobody's thighs are going to, I could put in a placeholder for like the kneecaps here, but nobody's thighs are going to bend and twist and have these sharp peaks out to them. I could put this little arch in here for the knee. So it's almost like you're taking what is anatomically correct and then flipping it on its head. So again, with the calves, I'll do the same thing just like I would with the forearms. Hyper exaggerate it and just make it look a different way so that it goes against the grain, against the norm of what a person should look like. Okay, so you're really just looking at certain areas. Almost think of it like a caricature, if you would. Like when you go to Disneyland and somebody draws a picture of, somebody's face. What are they really doing? They're taking those features and aspects of the body or the person's face and stretching it out. Taking specific highlights of what makes that person unique, and then kind of making fun of it. So it's kind of the same thing like I'm doing here. Nobody would be built this way in any way, shape, or form. And it doesn't have to be perfect your first go, right? I can really sit here and just kind of play and come up with a look that looks best for me, right? So my legs kind of extended back farther, so I've made everything else shorter. Really stretching the tibia out here or the shin. Having the foot be abnormally large towards the front as it comes out here. And again, kind of extending that ankle out a little bit, right? I want to make sure that my forearm is also exaggerated back here in the back. And, we can't really see the leg, right? So that's the taking it to the extreme for somebody who is super skinny, right? The other thing you want to make sure you do is like down in here, see how I've kind of like left out a specific area. So like it sometimes helps if you kind of draw that pelvic region down in there. Just again, so you have an idea of where certain things are supposed to be in the body, but it also can help you kind of twist and turn other things that you want to do in the image. Okay, so think of it like a practice run. You're just going to sit there and just kind of over exaggerate everything, right? So again, we can take it to the next extreme, right? We could come in here, I could do the same thing. I could come in here and kind of draw a little head like this, maybe put a little ear right here, and now I have a basic head, right? I can run off that head and make a normal size neck, right? Just have everything be the same size. And that's the start of that. Well, it's like, well, how are you really exaggerating that? It just kind of looks normal. Well, that's where I can come in here and start to stretch things out, right? Maybe I'm going to give him a really wide baseline, and we'll make his chest, super huge. So like I said, now we're getting into exaggerating and extending things beyond what they're supposed to be, right? So we could really round out that chest here and kind of stop, and then just come over and get the other part right in here, right? I can still be kind of crazy with the shoulders and kind of build that out. And this is how you can kind of help develop your own style even. Like I know there's a lot of people who, are looking at videos, how do you make your own style? And in my honest opinion, that comes from just playing around and testing out different things, being silly with the way that you design certain things. Like right in here, I can have this really over exaggerated, like latissimus muscles or back muscles showing through. And then just right in here, kind of have my abs be a little bit, um, more along the smaller side. And just kind of accentuate those that way. Like there's no rhyme or reason to it. You're just having fun. But the key thing that's going to make you able to go in and do something crazy like this is going to have a anatomy fundamental. Like you kind of have to know where everything's sitting at, right? So let me really stretch that in and run that off right there, and then I can kind of do kind of like I did here with the hips. We can kind of build that out. Same thing down here. Kind of run that off right inside of there. And then again, just kind of continue on both sides with the muscles. Like really round them out right here and having them tuck under, while at the same time defining a more tighter, squished down, but more bulkier um, bicep muscle, right? So you can see we're getting a little on the crazy side here. You can kind of draw over under your other sketches too. So you can see I'm still exaggerating the forearms and the arms, but I'm just making them more tight and bulky, right? And then I can really go crazy and come out here and like super exaggerate, like the fingers and stuff. So you can see how we have this crazy body type. Make sure I kind of get that pelvic region in there again. Again, we could be crazy and put like these really tight buttocks up in there. Start the thighs out normal, with a little bit of some, mass to it like there, but then just really go outlandish with it, right? Just really kind of stretch out and do it in a way that's not considered normal, right? And what that does, having that little tuck in there, kind of gives me a knee shape. And then I can just kind of run down from there again, over exaggerate my muscles. Right, going down into the ankle. So you can see I've got this really weird design. And sorry if I'm just all over the place. Sometimes I forget to come back and finish things off. Again, just kind of exaggerate those forearm muscles, which that in turn can kind of extend down into the hand and really over exaggerate the size of those fingers. Making it really, you almost like want to make it look like you're wanting to make your viewer go like, what in the world is going on with this dude and his artwork? You want it to stand out. You want it to, really piece together what it is you're trying to accomplish for the viewer. Okay, but the thing is once you've developed that look and that style, you've got to keep that consistency for all of your characters. Now, this is for like storytelling. That's not everything that you draw. You can change between styles all you want. Heck, I do it all the time. Okay, but what I mean is, like, if you're doing like a comic book and you're trying to create something out of it, then you want to really try to sit there and, you know, push those aspects that you're trying to go for specifically in your images. And that can kind of help guide you in the direction that you want to go, right? And that's just how you can kind of, add style to everything that you're trying to do. So again, you know, for example, you could do, let's do like a heavier set person. I'm gonna draw this a little bit smaller down in here, but again, I can kind of sketch in, a little bit of a head shape here, and just have that be the center focus, right? And then what do I want to do? Well, now I want to come in here and, again, knowing the anatomy of somebody who's heavy set, again, something else to study is just different body types, but I can really stretch out some of these areas and make them maybe a little bit more grotesque than normal. Really have those shoulders kind of overlap right in here. Have that kind of come through right here in the image by having the shoulders kind of drape over in kind of a floppy kind of manner to it. Same thing on the other side. Really find a way to kind of stretch those things to make it look more on the bulky side, right? So I could come in here right under the body to kind of set that up, but then go extreme with the gut shape on how I want that to look, right? Having that run right back up into there, having more short, stocky thighs, but really having that bottom, excuse me, I do apologize, more of a bottom, kind of stretched out, like he has to kind of squat down a lot just because he's so big. Those are all decisions that you can make. Again, kind of over exaggerating the thighs a little bit, but making them shorter. Same thing. Our biceps are going to come right off the body right here. So you can have a little bit of some muscle meat too there. Really exaggerating the forearms, right down into your hands. Okay. So again, you get the idea. We're just trying to stretch out and really, emphasize the muscle structure of things, but also at the same time exaggerating everything that we're doing with our arms. Okay. So again, that's just a quick rundown, is to be playful, really go through and try and, take your anatomy and push it to the limit. And then you can kind of come up with your own style from there. Other than that, that's really going to do it for that art lesson. I appreciate you stopping by and listening and paying attention. And feel free to share your work with me on Twitter at WickedArt5. Love to see your progress and see what kind of styles you come up with. Other than that, to everyone who's new, thank you for watching, and please hit that subscribe button if you want to learn more or see other videos. Check out the channel. If you're a returning subscriber, I appreciate you for sticking around. Let me know down in the comments what you want to see next. Really appreciate it. Have a wonderful day, and remember to keep sketching, and I'll see you in the next one, all right? Bye.